Welcome to MPJ New Rock Album Reviews for July 2023. I'm your host Nigel. Welcome to my wonderful crew, to Trish, to William, to Simon, to Ian. Welcome, gang. Dun, dun,
Good
dun.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
So, what's the show all about? Well, we are reviewing the latest rock albums released from July 2023, and we do it in the style of a battle of the bands or battle of the albums, head to head. We rate them out of 5, and for our listening pleasure, not a technicality or commerciality, but how much we personally enjoyed listening to that album. And if across the board it gets to more than the hallowed score of 20, we're going to a Hall of Fame and maybe into the shortlist for Album of the Year. Dun, dun, dun. So today's battle is brand new releases from Ashes to New with their album Blackout, and they up against Mutiod Man and their album Mutants. That fits really well in with my panel today. There we go. Right, let's start then from Ashes to New. Who are they? Well, members are Danny Case, Matt Brandyberry. Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings, doesn't it? You know, it looks like he belongs in the Shire. Lance Dowdle and Matt Madero. And Ashes for New were formed in 2013 in Lancaster, but not the UK. Oh no. In Pennsylvania, releasing their debut single My Flight from Ashes to New, been described as rap metal, new metal, rap rock, alternative metal. The band's music also features elements of genres such as alternative rock, punk rock, hard rock, heavy metal, hip hop, electronic core and electronica. Really? Okay, that's a lot. Right, okay. Well, let's find out. From Ashes to New then. Let's start with you then, Trish, shall we? Let's start with our beautiful... Yeah, let's go with you, Rock Chick Trish. Why not?
Okay.
What did you think?
So, I'd never heard of them before. Clearly listening to the album, it's rap meets rock akin to Linkin Park with a dash of Papa Roach in it, from my opinion. The opener, Heartache, attacks straight out of the gate with big hooks and screams. Some tracks like anthemic banger Hate Me Too, where the vocalists sing in harmony. Barely Breathing shifts from power ballad into a soaring, fist-pumping rocker with memorable choruses on the album. This album isn't normally a genre of rock I'm a listener of, but I actually quite enjoyed it, apart from a few screamo moments. But this album overall is a serving of mosh pit hard rock with a bit of everything thrown in. It's a solid offering.
Ooh. Now, talking of solid offerings, William.
Yeah, I mean, I've often been referred to as a solid offering.
You are a solid
very,
offering.
very common
When you
thing
think of William,
moments.
well, he's a solid offering. He's a good lad.
Solid offering is. Yeah, so rap metal, new metal, all that stuff is a genre I'm really keen on. I think, the whole sort of rap with the heavy sort of backing music and vocals, something that fits really well together. And so as such, obviously, I quite enjoy this album. Shocker.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's got the inspiration. One of the biggest inspirations is obviously Linkin Park, who, again, are like one of my top 5 favourite bands of all time, especially the earlier stuff, which this is very reminiscent of. So I was a big fan of this album. I've heard of them before. I've been following them for about 3 years or so now. And I've been looking forward to this album since, I think it was late 2022, when they released the single, which is on this album actually, Until We Break, featuring the singer from Memphis Mayfire, who I'm also a big fan of, so, more biased there. I thought this album was fantastic. For me, it's structured really well. It's got a good sort of punchy sound to it. It's got some that songs that slow down a bit to let you compose yourself, and it punches back into it. The heavy sound, heavy vocals. This is fantastic. This is the kind of music that I am, I could listen to all day and never get bored. Brilliant.
It's an album that you were born for. Is that what you're saying?
Honestly, add a bit of techno sound to it. perfection, really. That'd be great.
Well, according to them, it's one of very just different genres that they come across from that side of things as well. So, right. Well, talking about another solid offering, Simon. Then let's talk from Ashes to New, because I know you were potentially looking forward to this one. Did it live up to the billing for you?
Yeah, and I'm not new to From Ashes to New, though I'm only familiar with their older works, nothing in the last couple of years. They've got big old school Hollywood and Dead influences on those opening tracks, lots of Linkin Park vibes throughout the whole album. It's like their sound is like an evolution of post-emo into this like heavier modern sound, but it's still holding on to those angsty emo lyrics as shown in Hate Me Too and Hope You're Happy. I mean, like, Should I sing you a happy song with a noose around my neck is like peak Taking Back Sunday, and I love it. Until We Break with Matty Mullins as Gray provides his really good vocals in there. Like, if this album was made 10 years ago, it would have been super high pitched and screamy, but now it's this sort of heavier, fresh take on the genre, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope they continue to evolve and other bands evolve like these guys have.
Wow. Okay. Sounded like a solid offering. But now to the most unsolid offering, because he's gold dust. Let's switch to Ian then. Ian, from Ashes to New, my friend. I would suggest that this would probably not your typical tick in the box, or will we be surprised?
Well, I have to make this parallel. I have to. You can see from my shirt, at the time of recording, we are half an hour after losing the final. So the opening track, Heartache, is, I think, quite appropriate. But I'd not heard of Ashes to New at all. And I think that it's the album surprised me. You're absolutely right. It's not what I would normally go for. I like Linkin Park. I like Papa Roach, but I only like them. But this has vibes of them. It has Eminem. I class this as rap metal. I think that's a fair genre. I think that's what it is, and it's solid rock metal all the way through. It establishes its own identity from the beginning, and although there's a little bit of variation in the tracks throughout, it holds that identity well. And for me, standout tracks are Nightmare, Hate Me Too, Monster in Me, Legacy. I really love this album. Really love it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is a solid album, I would suggest. I think definitely, obviously, vibes of Linkin Park and Papa Roach. I really enjoyed the Papa Roach album. It did stray into areas that is not really my cup of tea, but I appreciated them, and I think it mixed. At its core, it was a heavy kind of metal with a bit of thrash metal, and then throw it in the various different genres that they're good, and they did it well. I mean, they did it well. You didn't, it didn't go off down into routes where it became, too much screamo or too much rap, and they and it's a skill. It's a definite skill to be able to blend in those various different aspects of rock. So you maybe kind of tick every boxes, but it held my attention because at its core, it stayed true to itself. But then going, well, this is what we are at the core, but we're going to throw in this bit of rap, we're going to throw in this little bit of screamo, we're going to throw in this bit of electro, and they did it well, and it didn't kind of lose me. But there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough in the album, because a lot of it was not my cup of tea for me to absolutely love the album. but I enjoyed it. It was solid. I think I go along with Trish on that one. This was a solid outfit, and I certainly wouldn't turn it off. I mean, like, there were some screamo kind of rap metal bands that kind of go too far for me, but this kind of didn't. Yeah, enjoyed it. Solid album. Yeah, really good offering, and definitely worth a listen. I think, even if you are you're not quite maybe into that, there's enough of this core to keep you interested in that side of things. Oh, right. Well, that's going to take some beating. Will Mutioid Man and Mutants, which we can all, I think, probably adhere to, be able to kind of hold on to that? Well, let's go with the King Mutant to start with then. Will, Mutioid Man, is that something that you Are you
going to tell us about them?
Oh, yes. Good point. Who are Mutioid Man? Good point. See, if I didn't have my rock chick Trish, where would this show be? Mutioid Man is an American heavy metal band formed in 2012, so a year before Ashes to New, in Brooklyn, New York City, by cave-in vocalist Stephen Brodsky, Converger drummer Ben Collar, and bassist Nick Cajagio, High on Fire. And they have, he says, turning the page, released 3 EPs and 3 studio albums. Dun, dun, dun. To date, all music described this sound as metalcore, but noted that Engage is not just hardcore punk and heavy metal, but also rock and roll, math rock? I've never heard of math rock. Progressive rock,
it's something.
And psychedelic music. Pitchfork celebrate their debut album Bleeder. Both numbskull hard rock and progressive rock at the same time. The two approaches become mutually exclusive in heavy music. Okay, so, well, go into our chief mutant, William. Mutioid Man, then. What did you think? Have you heard of these boys before?
Firstly, I expect to, in all things, be referred to as Chief Mutant whenever anyone speaks to me now. That's my official title in all things.
Yeah, I like
it. I hadn't heard of them before, but for once, I did a bit of reading about them before, because they've recently updated Spotify on the web app. And so when you go onto an artist, it has a little info bit on the side.
Yeah.
Where it says, briefly who they are, and I was like, oh, look, it's a band, metalcore, hardcore, punk, rock and roll. It's like, oh, these are good things. And then I got to the end of the last 2 genres they do, which was progressive, or prog metal and neo psychedelic. And my opinion was a bit swayed when I saw that.
Okay.
And I started listening, and I was upset that I had to continue listening.
Oh,
it was. I couldn't. I found it so hard to get through this. All the punk is something I'm really not a massive fan of. If that, the overly distorted music and the voice or the vocals that aren't sort of quite edited to sound clean or right. There's something off about the sound of it, and the whole album having this sort of. It's a very psychedelic kind of thing. From the especially you look at the album cover, it's psychedelic as hell, and the whole album sort of follows this kind of overarching sound and trend. I found it really hard to get through it. I couldn't just listen to the whole thing at once. I listened to a few songs, take off my headset or take off my headphones, listen to something else for a bit, because it was too much for me to listen to in one go, because the sound, the editing and the sound of the guitar and really grated on my ears. So this is not for me. It was too punky, too psychedelic. I read the words metalcore, obviously got excited. I think it got my expectations a bit too high for it, and it was kind of smashed down. This was, unfortunately, not my cup of tea. I'm very sorry, but that's just how it is.
Mate, as we say right from the beginning,
it's just my opinion.
It's your opinion, and the ratings that we give or how we view albums are for our listening pleasure. Now then, let's move over to Queen Mutant Boy, to Simon then. I don't know, I'm just making it up as I go, alright? But I'm going to blame you for bringing this band in, because you moaned at me for bringing two, hair-blowing rock kind of classics. Let's have something a bit different, Nige. So I brought something new and different to the table. And was it something you loved? Was it fine dining for you then, Simon?
I feel I made a mistake. So this album for me was just a bit weird, but not in the like Avenged Sevenfold from last month. More in a that just happened sort of way. There are some moments like clear guitar work and drumming, and the vocals on some of like Broken Glass Ceiling decent. But overall, the album is just a bit on the weird side with all the psychedelic and obviously the mathematical prog rocky stuff. Siren Song was all right too, because the intro reminded me of Scott Pilgrim. And there's a lot of like early AFI and mid-noughties grungy sort of rock vibes. And I'm sure there's a particular audience out there somewhere that's been crying out for this style in this band, but it is not for me. I didn't feel the need to skip tracks, but yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
So back to hair-blowing 70s rock then, yeah? So more of that.
Yeah, non-stop. If that's the choice, non-stop.
Oh, right. Let's go to the Prince of all mutants, to Ian then. And Ian, what did you think of Mutioid Man?
I'm going to let you know what I think of Mutioid Man in about 10 seconds. What I want to say is I came into this recording obviously naturally down, and I was really having to dig deep and trying to find a good positive energy to bring to be able to record this. And what I love is that not only is this our opinion, but spending time with you guys doing that is a nice distraction, and I do feel lifted inside again. So it's genuinely, it's fantastic. I love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I said that because I want to inject some nice positivity in the section. That's where the positivity ends. Unfortunately, Mutioid Man have just scored a goal against us in the World Cup final, and that's how I feel. I felt it was like very abstract and weird. Punk isn't my type of thing. I don't even like it when Motley Crue attempt punk, and I do say attempt. It's weird. It's lazy rock. When you're listening to it, I felt it was really lazy. However, although I agree with what Will said about some of the editing, I thought in some places the production was phenomenal, was really good. But that's about the best I can say for it. Standout tracks, there weren't any for me. I did listen to this a couple of times as well. I think it's easy to cheer when things are good and when you feel comfortable. So I've challenged myself to actually listen to things twice or three times when I'm challenged by something. And unfortunately, I couldn't. There was nothing here for me, I'm afraid. Abstract, weird, lazy. Punk's not my thing.
Oh, okay. Trish, then. Oh God. Everybody on this panel, I would suggest that this is probably really outside of your comfort zone and not quite your cup of tea.
I've never heard of them before, so I had no expectations. Call of the Void is unleashed with a melodic burst of high energy metal, punk hardcore rock with a bit of wackiness thrown in. Just watch their videos to see what I mean. Mutioid Man should please existing fans and reel in some new enthusiasts in the process. It will need frequent listens to really do this, as it is a challenging and unique album. As much as I love a challenge, this is one I couldn't rise to and only manage one listen, as the album was just a bit too punk rock for me. But that being said, a cracker of a song on the album is Sirens.
Yeah, okay. I get where you're all coming from, because on paper and even the sound of it, I should have absolutely hated this album in its entirety. Everything that I say I don't like about rock, apart from Screamo and Growlo, was this album. And yet, I found it strangely hypnotic. I don't know what it was that there was monotony there in terms of a deep bass pounding kind of metal with that kind of grunge kind of style to it, and I found it strangely hypnotic. Whether I found that an enjoyable process, I don't know, but I found it engaging. And I didn't hate it and I didn't love it, but I was somewhere where I kind of go, oh, do you know what? I think I might want to listen to that again. And I did listen to it about 2 or 3 times. It's not an album that I keep going to, but there's some of the lyricisms in there and some of the lyrics and the writing was pretty deep. And I think they had a message in there. I don't know what that message was, but I just remember going, wow, all right. And, I didn't take any takes from it, but I just remember going, oh, that's really very good. That's quite deep. That's interesting lyrics. And I think that they're a really talented bunch of guys. I think you're right. The production was amazing. I think some of the lyricism was fantastic. And I think for me, I think I would have found it more engaging if they had kind of varied it up a little bit. But it was very kind of, that's the pitch, that's what we're going through right the way through the album. But I did find it, and don't ask me why or how, or I can't put my finger on why I found this, because it was heavy, it was boof, boom, 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 but I just found it hypnotic. But I can't say I enjoyed it, but I repeat myself, it was all right. It was all right. It wasn't the worst album. I'd listen to this any day of a Blur, that's for certain, with their new album. But there we go. Anyway, well, let's find out. I think we know where this might be going in terms of the battle. But let's go and find out then, shall we? So, Trish, let's start with you then. From Ashes to New, let's get your score on the Doors.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. William!
5 out of 5.
5. Woohoo! Simon.
Oh, it's got to be 5. Come
5!
on.
Whoa, we're headed for. Wow, are we headed for Hall of Fame territory? We're not far off. Ian.
It's 5 out of 5. Gold star.
Get out of here! I would never put Ian
Brilliant.
down for a 5 on that sort of album. Wow, that hits up there.
Brilliant.
I wouldn't have a paper either.
It was a 3.5 from me. Sorry, guys.
Reasonable.
It's still a good score. We're still talking 15.
Ruined.
We are talking 22.5.
Wow.
Sails into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Ashes and New. You're definitely, I would imagine, barring anything, you're going to get into the top 10, which automatic place for album of the year. It's a cracking album. There's no two ways about that. And 3 5s, a 4 and a 3.5, 22.5. Wow. Fantastic. Bang in there. Well done, Ashes to New. Right, well, can Mutioid Man rally the mutants and follow suit? Trish?
1 out of 5.
That's a no then. Okay. Will?
I feel I have to disband my army of mutants because it's a 0.5. It's not bad not to be 0 because it's being generous. Okay, I'm a changed man. No more zeros for me.
Okay, Simon.
I mean, I'll give it a 2.
Yeah. And Ian.
Production was good. We've heard worse, so 2 out of 5.
It was a 3 from me. It's probably the most bizarre 3 I'm ever going to give, but it was still anyway. So we're looking at 7, 8, 8.5. 8.5.
Ooh.
So I let's paraphrase this, boys. I think you have a target audience for that, and I think the production and stuff was really good. So Okay, right. Well, that's the end of the show. Well done. Congratulations to Ashes to New on winning this Battle of the Bands. That was a whitewash 5-0. And for getting into our Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And hopefully, you will be in the running potentially for Album of the Year. That's certainly a big, big score. So well done to them. Thank you very much to my panel, to Trish, to Ian, to Simon, and to William. And a final note, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, because it just gives us a little bit of a nice feeling. Anyway, thank you very much for everybody. Goodbye and keep rocking.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.